Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about Dead Detective Society, edited by James Aquilone, and this is from Monstrous Books. And it's Monstrous Books #1. This is an anthology of supernatural detective stories. It's the easiest way to put it. A lot of great authors in here. Let's just take a look. David Avallone, Steve Niles, Tim Wagoner, Jeff Strand, Nancy Holder and Alan Phillipson, Kevin J. Anderson, Lisa Morton, Jonathan Mayberry, Renee Mason, Rena Mason, John Jennings, holy cow, James Aquilone, Joe R. Lansdale and Casey Lansdale, and Nancy A. Collins. The return of Sonia Blue, brand new Nancy A. Collins, Sonia Blue story. So, as I said, this is an anthology of supernatural mysteries. I love this cover. I love the back cover. There's great illustrations inside. For the too long didn't watch crowd, I gave this 4 out of 5, I believe. I think it was 4 out of 5. I don't think it was 5 out of 5. I don't remember now, because it's been a little while since I rated it. But it's definitely, let's say, 4.5 out of 5. This is a subgenre that I really enjoy, because I'm a huge fan of, like, hard-boiled detectives. Of course, I'm a huge fan of horror. Throw those things together, and you've got some great stuff. And right here on the cover, we've got Sonia Blue. There's Cal McDonald. And this, I don't remember who this guy is, but one of these is Dan Shamble, and one is the other guy, the James Aquilone character. Oh, I'm a terrible person for not remembering the name. I have all the books right over there. They're right in front of me. 191. See, now I have to look because I feel like a schmuck. Dead Jack. Yes. So I'm going to say that's Dead Jack. That's Dan Shamble. So, lots of great stories. It's mainly supernatural detectives, as Dan Shamble and Dead Jack might imply. They're zombies, but they're private detectives. Sonia Blue, vampire, half vampire, a Dhampir. But then, like, Cal McDonald is human. He has the ability to see monsters where other people can't, but he's human. He's always beat up, always hungover. Great character. So just a nice mix. As with any anthology, there are it's a mix of quality in the stories. That's the part I'm going to say. In here, you've got, like, just great stories, and then pretty great stories, and then one or two that they're good. They're really good, and then great. I mean, there's no bad stories in here, which is why it's absolutely a 4.5. I just can't remember what the hell I gave it on Goodreads. So you've got there's one really interesting story where the main character is someone with amnesia who discovers when they wake up in the hospital and look, essentially, they're a bunch of body parts sewn together. Very Frankenstein monsters-esque. The mystery is, who are they? So you got that kind of thing. And of course, with the private eye characters, someone comes to them with a problem. Jeff Strand's story has this private eye who's a guy who has died 7 times, I think, and always comes back in this really weird way, but he always comes back to life. Don't know if he has any other abilities. I think that's just his thing, as he comes back from the dead. But it's your usual Jeff Strand story. He gets hired for something, but there's, it's comedy of errors, and snappy dialogue and everything, very Jeff Strand. Um, and the Jonathan Mayberry has his character. I want to say Addison Monk. Let's look. Ooh, that was pretty good. Monk Addison. Had it backwards. Monk Addison, who's a character from his novel Ink. And I believe Jonathan Mayberry's putting out a collection of Monk Addison stories, short stories. But he's this guy he's covered in tattoos, the tattoos of murder victims, and his ability is, if you can get the blood of a murder victim, it's mixed in with the tattoo ink, and he gets their portrait inked on him, and he witnesses their last moments, their death, whatever. So he uses this to solve mysteries. There's a little twist in this one, so really cool, but just great, fascinating stories. I want to talk a little bit about some of these other characters. The first story is Nick Carter recalled to life. Now, I think this is an interesting story because in this story we're introduced to Nick Carter, who has been resurrected. He was dead and cryogenically frozen, and he's been resurrected and sent off. He's sort of almost a James Bond character. He's going up against, a megalomaniac. And it does say Nick Carter will return at the end of the story, so who knows. But the thing with Nick Carter is this is a very, very, very old character. Way back in the pulpy days, he was almost a, if you look it up, I think it's on Wikipedia is where it says Doc Savage stole a lot of who he is from Nick Carter. Nick Carter was a character who had been raised to be the pinnacle of humanity, physically and mentally the best a human could be, and he was supposed to use this bestness, how's that for a word, his bestness to make the world a better place. And then eventually, I think after Doc Savage came along, Nick Carter just became sort of a regular detective. But then he was brought back, and that sort of died out, and then he was brought back in this series called Nick Carter Killmaster, which is where I know him from, which were these men's adventure books where, he's just a super spy guy, no special powers except, his ability for violence. So these are these over-the-top violent men's adventure books. Excuse me, Nick Carter Killmaster. And now he's this resurrected guy. So really fascinating, to me anyway, very fascinating history for this character. Steve Niles' story, Blood and Fur, is a Cal McDonald story. My favorite Steve Niles character. As I mentioned a little earlier, he's just a human guy who can see monsters. He's always down on his luck. He's always beat up. He's almost always hungover. And his partner in his detective agency is a ghoul. And this is a werewolf story. Excuse me. And then, so Kevin J. Anderson Mystery Meat is a Dan Shamble mystery. I believe I have every Dan Shamble book. Very interesting character. He's a zombie. His girlfriend is a ghost. Right? His girlfriend's a ghost. His partner, I think there's a werewolf in there somewhere. He's got a partner in the detective agency who's just a human, and his best friend is a cop, and he has a half daughter or something who's a vampire. Really fun characters. Good little mystery in here. Dead to Me, Jonathan Mayberry, I already talked about. Monk Addison. And then Nancy A. Collins' last known photo is the Sonia Blue. Sonia Blue was a series of novels about this. She was a rich debutante type girl that was attacked by a vampire and left for dead but didn't die. in the traditional turning a vampire sense. So she's half human. She's like a daywalker, half human, half vampire. Um, and there's this woman, in this case, looking for her missing son. Sonya Blue decides to help her. But a great series of books, really great character, and it was nice to see her brought back for this series. So that's just a quick little look at some of the characters. Um, Dead Detective Society, and I backed this on Kickstarter. So I have a T-shirt with this on it. I believe it's in the laundry right now, and I got my Dead Detective Society Junior Investigator card, number 313, signed by President James Aquilone. This certifies that the bearer is a certified member in good standing. I have not put my name on it yet. And then there were some really cool little art prints. These are some of the illustrations that are in the book. This is the Nick Carter. This is the Sonya Blue. And this is a character I'm going to have to look up. I remember the story, and it was really, really interesting. And there was a moment where I had a bit of an epiphany on where the story was going. Jin G. Fox is the character, and she is a Chinese fox spirit. That's the Rena Mason story. Jin G. Fox, death investigator, Vixen Screams. And so there's this sort of spirit hierarchy. It's in San Francisco, in the past, and only people that are near death can see Jin, and her boss, essentially in this spirit hierarchy, has her investigating something. Not going to get into all the details, but there's a point in the story where I realized something that was coming, and I Googled it just to be sure I was correct, and that's all I'm going to say. A little tease there, but there's a little real world stuff mixed into this very interesting story. I really like the character and wouldn't mind seeing other stories there. So those 4 little art prints, or 3, excuse me, and then this full color print of the cover, really nice. And then the first issue of Monstrous magazine, a little digest size magazine that has stories, some comic book stuff. I think maybe an article or 2. Yeah, a couple articles, 3 comics, 2 short stories, 2 articles. So, and look at that. Great illustration there. I've got the second issue on order. They had something else on Kickstarter, and I couldn't afford everything, but one of the things was just to get the next issue of the magazine, and I really want the next issue of the magazine, so I did that. Just waiting for that. So that's just some cool stuff that I got for backing Dead Detective Society. I'll tell you what, James Aquilone doing great stuff. This is the fourth thing I backed that he was involved in. The 3rd book that he edited, and then he did a Kolchak, the Night Stalker 50th anniversary book, comic book that I backed. He edited that, and I'm just going to throw this out there since we're talking about like dead detectives and stuff. He or Crystal Lake Entertainment, the publisher, don't know all the details, but anyway, they've acquired the rights to Kolchak the Night Stalker with James Aquilone doing all the work, and they're going to reprint the original Night Stalker novel by Jeff Rice, deluxe hardcover edition. It's going to be on Kickstarter. I'm going to find a way to have the money to back it at the highest level I possibly can, because everything James Aquilone has done on Kickstarter I've been supremely happy with. And I love Kolchak the Night Stalker. I do have a paperback copy of that has the original 2 novels, but I'd like to have this deluxe hardcover edition of the original novel. Anyway, that's all a bunch of stuff. Sort of centered around Dead Detective Society. 4.5 out of 5 stars, at least, possibly 5. I don't remember. Edited by James Aquilone from Monstrous Books. Fantastic stuff. No real question. Question for this video, even though I didn't think of a good one for the book. So, are you a fan? Are you familiar with or a fan of Kolchak the Night Stalker? It was 2 made-for-TV movies, and then a short-lived TV series starring Darren McGavin. He was a reporter in Vegas, always finding these mysterious cases, a precursor to the X-Files. But the thing was, his any evidence he had was always destroyed by the end of the episode. So, like, his editor never believed him. Editor at the newspaper never believed him about any of these crazy things that happened. Great movies, great TV show. There was a remake TV show that didn't last long. I maybe saw 1 episode, but I'm a huge fan. Loved the movies, loved the series. I have some comic books. I have a bunch of the novels, because Full Moon or Moonstone Books has had the rights for a long time and been putting out a bunch of new novels. They're the ones that did the reprint that I have of the original 2 novels. So I'm a huge fan. What about you? Do you know Kolchak the Night Stalker? If you do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. Try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. And if you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K. ERIKSMITH 5757. On Blue Sky, I am @EL Smith. That's it. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.